Good morning, you guys, or well, it's morning where I'm at. And if you're thinking this doesn't look like Hong Kong, you are correct. Let me show you where I'm at. I'm currently in Toronto, and I've actually been here for about like a week-ish now, and I'm staying here for about a couple more days. And really the main reason why I haven't really shot a video is something that I'm going to tell you in just a bit. But first, let's talk about what we're sketching today. So these chairs right here, these are something called Muskoka chairs, and they originate from a place called Muskoka here in, I think it's in Ontario, I believe. I know it's definitely in Canada, but I believe it's also not too far from Toronto. And around like the city of Toronto, these chairs are just here for like public seating. And I just thought that they were so cool and they're so colorful, and I definitely want to catch some of them in my sketchbook. So these chairs, because they're just chilling outside in the patio, often on like weekends and even later in like lunchtime and in the afternoon, these seats get filled with all sorts of people who are just there just to enjoy the view. And it's kind of interesting because the seats actually they don't face towards the street, they face inside, so they look at the buildings. But I think for these Muskoka chairs here, we're currently at like one of the squares here in Toronto. Actually, let me look it up real quick. We are currently at what's called the David Peacock Square? Yeah, it's called the David Peacock Square. I almost said peanut, and that's not correct. The David Peacock Square, and it's been listed as on Google as like not too busy, which I think is quite evident because it is a Monday at 10:22 a.m., which is peak working hours. A rare time where I can actually go out and sketch and not have to go to work is when I'm on vacation, and this just happens to be it. So we're gonna pull out our sketchbook, and for this trip, I've already filled in a few pages actually. I just haven't caught any of these on camera just because I'm on vacation with like a couple of friends, and I didn't really want to keep taking out my camera and keep shooting videos. But a lot of my friends flew back out to where they were flying in from like today, yesterday. So I think this is one of the days where I could actually kind of like just have to myself with me and my partner. And I woke up a little bit earlier just to get some sketching done. So the sketchbook that we're using today is this Filament and Burn Nova series. It is in the tone tan. So if you can see like these sketches, like the popped out really great. And the watercolors that I've been using aren't actually watercolors. This is my gouache palette that I've actually added glycerin to. I've added really generous drops of glycerin. Like I got really inspired by Art Toolkit's recent gouache palette release, where they kind of just like added glycerin to all of their gouache, and I think it stops them from cracking. So I've added different different glycerin amounts to different colors. So for example, this opera pink needs a little bit more glycerin because it cracks really easily, but hey, you can even see like the other colors are cracking quite easily. But it's totally fine. It's totally fine because as long as you add a little bit of water, and sometimes what I do is sometimes I just close it so the water doesn't evaporate, but sometimes I just also kind of want to see the colors, so I just spray very generously and kind of like let the water sit and melt into the paints a little bit. And also I'm using this rosemary, what I've been using this trip is this rosemary, I think dagger brush, and it's like it's kind of like a brush that has like several different points, that has like a short point, a long point. And sometimes when I want to do details and this back weight is too heavy, I literally just take off the back and I just use this little tiny tip because it holds so well. And I've been using this alongside a tiny Nalgene cup for my water. And I think that's about it actually for my materials. It's been pretty straightforward. I think when I can, I do draw with like my red pencil, and I tend to prefer that actually. But yeah, now with all the materials out of the way, let's get sketching. So starting off with this sketch, I decided to play around with the elements a little bit and not exactly copy what I see. So for example, I decided after sketching and laying down all the elements and the chairs and the backgrounds and also the little lamppost in the corner, that I kind of wanted a little bit more color to pop over in the background. So I decided that I was just gonna edit my sketch a little bit and throw in like a bright blue sky in the background, because even though the sky here is a little bit not super blue and vibrant, but I just decided to exercise my creative discretion and threw in a bright blue sky. I just thought that the bright blue really pops up really well against like the tan. Like for example, in like this previous sketch that I did, the bright blue just looks really gorgeous against it, and I just wanted to have that kind of warm blue show through again. That's basically what I did. And then I tried as well to fill in the background first and the foreground. So the foreground, I opted for like a really cool kind of gray to mimic sort of the gray that you see here in the streets. Also, the background was supposed to be like a theater that is showing Hadestown, but I didn't want to capture the whole thing because I only can capture a little bit of it anyway, so I decided to chop off like the top bit and just kept the bottom part that was visible in this sketch. And the musical scene here is pretty dang amazing. We watched Hamilton like last week. We caught a matinee show, and it was the most beautiful musical. Like, this is my second time seeing the musical, and it's still so great, and I do highly recommend seeing it if you've ever gotten a chance. Like, it's just one of my favorite musicals of all time. But anyways, moving back to the sketch, I just basically try to fill in the background slowly towards the foreground and trying to figure out how to work this rigger slash dagger brush. It's one of those really cool sounding names, and I think just getting like the texture, because this is really soft, because I guess this is meant for watercolor and not exactly gouache, so it's not exactly a firm kind of brush. So to get that firmness is really tricky, and it's something that I guess you have to get used to with every single brush that you have. But so far I really love this, and I wish they sold it. I don't know, I wish they had like a flat, like a wider flat as well, because I would really want a flat that's just like this tiny. And it's very like first world problems, but Hong Kong doesn't really have like a Home Depot where you can just saw off like the long edge of like a wooden brush handle, and Hong Kong flats cannot accommodate like workshops as well. So I wish there was somewhere where I can like easily cut off chop, and therefore I would have like a lot more brush choices. But at the moment I'm limited to these travel brushes, which is totally fine. And then I did enjoy sketching like quite a few bits throughout this trip, but I realized like I didn't film any of it. Like, this is actually the first one that I filmed. And I think it's because just like I was with friends and I was exploring the city, and kind of filming this whole thing requires a little bit more of a setup. Like, I need to bring these mics, I need to bring in like my tripod and everything else I have with me anyway. Like, I always bring a camera with me, but it's just like I just really enjoyed kind of being present and just sketching and just chatting with my friends and not necessarily talking to the camera, especially because these are friends like that I haven't seen in such a long time. It just so happens that there was an occasion and we all flew in for the week. So it was really nice to catch up with people that are really just from all areas of the planet, and we're just congregated here in Toronto to commemorate something special. And I think that's a good rule to have. I don't know, maybe like next vacation I would just ditch this tripod totally, but at the same time I do enjoy kind of having it for like some clutch situation. I am on a very light tripod after all. It's only like it's only about 1 kilogram, so I think it's about good enough for me to bring around, but maybe not lug around every other day. But I think it's just great to have in my backpack. But I think maybe for shorter vacations, like this is a 20-day excursion, but maybe for shorter vacations, like 3 or 4 days, maybe I won't even bring my tripod at all, and then my travel sketches will purely be here, and I'll probably do a little tour on it on YouTube maybe once this book is finished. But there's like some really good ones. Like, this is like a really nice favorite one of mine. And I think the common thread with all these sketches is I do spend like maybe north to an hour on it. But I think for quick sketches like the ones that I post on YouTube, these tend to be the real quicker, like 15-minute sketches. So there's a lot less detail, but I think you can still grab the essence all the same. And yeah, I think this is gonna be a quick one today. There's a lot of construction noises going on currently. I was told a joke yesterday that there's 2 seasons in Toronto. One is snow season and one is road construction season, because there seems to be a construction at every block. And one of my friends are like, yo, half the population are wearing helmets, which I thought was a really funny joke. But yeah, so I'm just gonna go out, explore the city. I'm not sure if you can tell from my voice, I've been having a lot of fun and my voice is a little bit raspy, so I'm itching to get some pho, and I think I'm gonna meet a couple of friends to get some pho in about an hour. And yeah, I'm just gonna enjoy the rest of my stay. Thank you so much for jumping along with me on my first non-Asia, like North American, I guess, video for this channel. I don't know if there's gonna be more. Hopefully there's gonna be more, but I guess I'll see you back in Hong Kong for more awesome sketches. Thank you guys again for sticking around. Catch you here same time next week. Bye.